My next guest is Josh Tovar. Josh is a proud son of Virginia and Jesus Tovar. He was born in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, and immigrated with his family to El Paso, Texas in the late 70s. After challenging years in high school, he joined the U.S. Marine Corps as a 0811 artilleryman. His military service allowed him to serve his country while attending UTEP, where he earned a degree in history and a minor in education. As a public educator, Josh has worked at 13 schools from elementary to the university level. He holds a master's in school counseling and administration from Sul Ross University, as well as a master's in history from UTEP. Currently, he serves as the principal at Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland ISD in Texas. Throughout his career, Josh has harnessed the power of social media to promote positive student achievements and enhance school culture. His commitment to connections before content aligns with Ryan Scott and Kevin Curtis's philosophy, recognizing the importance of meeting students where they are through platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, now X, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Under his leadership, Socorro High School saw significant improvements, including an increase from D- to B- and a close to 10% graduation rate improvement in 3 years. Josh's understanding of social media's impact underscores its value in education and community engagement. Well, welcome to the podcast, Josh.
Well, thank you, Dana. I'm on this side with you. Oh, my Lord. I'm very fortunate that you called upon me to be part of this great podcast. And everybody out there, make sure you like and share this lady's podcast. She has over 300. She's going to be on 400, 500. She brings added value to all educators. Thank you, Dana. Thank you for having me here, getting out of the trench.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. Yes, as you mentioned, I was recently on your podcast as well. You do live episodes. I do pre-recorded episodes, and we'll talk a little bit about your podcast. But first, I wanted to dive in to some of your experience as a principal. But we'll start off with a question I always start off with. Tell me about a time when you were in the trenches and managed to crawl out.
You know that I listen to your show a lot. And in the morning, at 4 a.m, when I'm at the gym, I hear all of these stories. Well, the good thing about being 33 years in the game, sometimes you just run out of filters, all right? So I go, no, I got to, if she ever calls me, I got to tell 2 stories, not one. Because you see, this is very important for future administrators and current administrators, because right now, the cell phone will either make us or break us a lot of times in our learning communities. So I'm going to share something with you. My first year as an assistant principal, I was in this affluent part of El Paso. I was in the Eastwood area, Eastwood High School area. And that area, those are the type of parents who will say, oh, my Lord, I will bring my lawyer. And my lawyer, oh, my Lord. If I was to get a quarter for every time I heard that. You know what I'm talking about, Dana. You know what I'm talking about, those type of parents. But it's okay. And I got into this elementary that ran by itself. The systems were in place. The teachers were there established. They were exemplary campus. That's our Texas rating. It just ran. It's smooth. It was perfect, right? Every grade level had its own thing going on. And well, I walked in and there was a air quotes discipline. I'm coming from a high school, middle school and high school, and I get hired officially to elementary. And I'm like, really? This is a problem for you guys. I'm just thinking it. Obviously, you cannot devalue someone's belief, right? And so they had lunch detention in the regular cafeteria. But the kids were messing around, and there was a parent volunteer, and she air quotes had them in check, but they were still messing around, shoving each other. And I go, that's not timeout. That's not detention. And so I just moved them. I moved them over, Dana, one step. I moved them over from the floor where they were sitting at to the stage, and it was just steps away. Mm-hmm. And the difference is visual. The difference was this much, literally a step. So I just moved the table from one part to the other part to where they didn't have access or the spotlight, because they wanted the spotlight. All us as educators, as administrators, we know those type of kids that are recidivists, whether it be 3rd grade, 1st grade, or 9th grade, they want the spotlight for the whatever that is, whatever they're looking for to fulfill themselves. And oh my Lord, in like 2 weeks, I was in the El Paso Times. A parent wrote that editors, whatever post, where people give their opinion, and then they looked into it. I had a whole side panel. Here it was, not even a year as an administrator, and I was in the El Paso Times for nothing effective. Not that the school ran by itself,
Yeah.
not that it was high
Yeah.
functioning academically, but that I had moved the lunch detention table from one part to the other part, which was only one step.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh my Lord, is that my career? You know, you start panicking. Don't be a panicking. You cannot be worried about that. You brought structure to something that needed structure. Your vision
Yeah.
was in place. And you know what? That helped readjust what the culture was at lunchtime. Because we all know if you've been in elementary, secondary people, you don't know what to talk about this. But they line up the kids, one grade level, the next grade level goes in, and you just clear them out. And sometimes it's organized chaos. And
Yeah.
when you have a lunch timeout table, there was some dysfunction there, so I just needed to clear it up. So I stuck to my guns and never changed. In the end, I'm letting you know, hey, future administrator, current administrator, that's part of the game.
Yeah.
That your name is going to be in the news, expect it.
Yeah.
Marzano don't talk about it. Sir Giovanni don't talk about it. All these people that you pay $700 for a textbook, they don't talk about it, but it's a fact. Your
Mm-hmm.
Facebook parent page of your district will talk about you. Hold on tight if you're doing what's right for kids and for the culture of the campus. And now the second example that I'd like to provide you is I've been on the highest of the highs of political sway, and I've been on the
Yeah.
lowest of the lows. And if you're an educator, just know that politics is part of the game. If you
Mm-hmm.
know, you know. You
Yeah.
know that the cross guard has more power than a principal. You'll
Mm-hmm.
know that the cashier lady at the cafeteria has more power than an assistant principal. That's just a fact because if they're married to the board member, who's married to the area superintendent, it just goes with it, okay?
Yeah.
So I was not on the good side anymore. My career escalated real fast as an assistant principal. Then it got stuck in politics.
Yeah.
And I'm recently featured in a book by Robert Hinchcliffe, More Than a Principal, and I talked about the story that I knew I was going to get moved from the campus that I was at. I knew I was going to get moved. The politics told me that. You'll know if you're on the bad side of politics.
Mm-hmm.
You'll know if you're on the bad
Yeah.
side. I'm telling you. So I got a call. I got the call, and it said, "Yeah, report to central office." And this is 5, 6. I was already 7, 8 years as an assistant principal, elementary
Mm-hmm.
that I just described, middle school and high school, and report to the office of the area superintendent. I reported there real quick. Not a very nice way to approach someone that's given so much of their life to that district. So very, we want you to face new opportunities. You know the famous opportunities thing, and we want you to choose. You could either be moved, and here I go. Here it comes. What high school am I going to go to? Right? You could either be in charge of HVAC, or you could go to transportation. And I don't know about your part of the zip code, but when they move you to the warehouse of transportation, that's because you did something horrible.
Mm-hmm.
They just store you away, and I'm like, whoa, 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 hold on, hold on. What do you mean? Yes, we. Can you tell me a little bit? At that moment, obviously, they were not going to tell me anything. They're not going to tell you that you angered a board member. They're not going to
Mm-hmm.
tell you you're not on the good side of politics. And it was a punch in the throat.
Yeah.
I was in the deep of the trench. I was in the Marianas Trench. I was down in the goo, right there.
Yeah.
I was horrible. And I said, well, can I at least discuss this with my wife? And can I please give you an answer? You could have lunch. You could tell us by noon, 2 hours.
Wow.
A whole career, just going from my certifications, everything, not seeing kids, to HVAC or transportation. And so I'm thinking about this. I go, all right, shake it off. What are you going to decide? Where can you be more visible? So I decided to become the supervisor of transportation. So we'll be in charge
Mm-hmm.
of 300 adults, 300 drivers, mechanics, aides, and all that stuff. And there I was. I stayed there for 2 years. And you know what? I told myself, and this is a caveat. They said,
Mm-hmm.
okay, now that you decided you're going to get your new contract So it will be no longer an academic contract. It's going to be an administrative contract. And you need to move all your stuff. Mind you, I've been at that school for 6 years. You need to move everything and report to your new school in a day and a half, which will be Monday.
Wow. Mhm.
So all the things that we all know as educators that you're in one place, you have a lot of stuff that you collect. And so there, I was picking everything up. I was leaving the campus with my tail tucked between my legs. It's a fact. People saw me like, oh, what did he do? And then the whole what did he do stuff. That's fine. That weekend, I went to the cabin with my friend, that we cared about. We went to school together to Sol Ross State University. And he goes, you're going to shake this off? I was there for 2 years. And you know what? I told myself, they'll never see me fret. I
Yeah.
refuse to give them the pleasure. I'm going to make that job, I'm going to be more obnoxious and more visible because you will not see me cry and I will not be crushed under your boot. And so, sure enough, 2 years later, a new group of administrators that knew what I brought to the table, they took me out, put me back into campus as an assistant principal again. So my story to you out there is this: you cannot avoid the politics.
Yeah.
Your people are not gonna like you one way or the other. As they say, if you try to make everyone happy, you'll make nobody happy. If you want to
Mhm.
make everyone happy, go sell ice cream. Other than that, I'm letting you know that as long as you stick to your guns, you do what's right for kids, you will be in the trenches. But trust me, but it's how you allow them to win or not win. And I refuse to. I was told I would never be a principal. I'm about to start again. I think I'm on year 10 as a principal. I was 13 years as an AP, 10 years, going on close to 10 years as a principal. I was told I would never do that. I proved them wrong because I always do right for kids. You need to do right for kids.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's quite a story. Like, knowing that you were being placed somewhere else, not knowing the reason, and then just making sure that you made the best of the situation, right? And, prove to them that you were going to stay resilient and you made it back to your AP job. So, I wanted to ask you,
And just to jump on that, and not to know anything about the job,
yeah.
not knowing they were setting me up for failure.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
knowingly set me up for failure in jobs. HVAC, what the heck do I know about HVAC? Never worked with it. What do I know about transportations and CDL? They wanted me to fail. They wanted to destroy my career. So, didn't happen.
Yeah. Instead, you learned a lot about transportation, I'm sure, for those 2 years. so so yeah, you now have been principal. Is this going on the fourth year or so at
No,
Memorial Pathway?
COVID. I got hired at my new
Okay.
campus. I'm going on 5 years there. Uh-huh.
Okay. So I'm just referring to an article I'm linking in the show notes. It talks about just your school is a non-traditional school and how you've helped students succeed despite barriers. So tell me a little bit about your student population.
So I'm very blessed. Let me tell you out there, when I was told I would never be a principal, I did believe, but I now confirmed it. God will put you where he needs you.
Hmm.
He closes doors for you to prevent you from being harmed, and he opens doors for you that he needs you and your talents.
Hmm.
I am, as you read in my intro, I was not born in this country. I'm an immigrant. I'm a naturalized citizen. I love my beautiful country, but I understand the hardship it is to learn English. Imagine trying to learn English in the late 70s. It's not
Yeah.
what you have today. There was no Google Translate. They still punish some of us for talking Spanish. All my
Hmm.
teachers were all my teachers were from military officers of Fort Bliss. If you
Yeah.
know El Paso or you don't know El Paso, Fort Bliss is a major military base, and all the wives of the colonels, majors, generals would be teachers there in the local area where I went to school. And it was difficult. I didn't know about eating Robert E. Lee eggs. I didn't know about
Hmm.
grits. Yeah, I'm a Mexican. Where are my chiladas and my frijoles? Where are my, where are my chilaquiles? I didn't know about eating those kind of boysenberry. What is boysenberry? Who's Beaver Cleaver? Who are all these people? It was a cultural clash, and when I arrived, I was supposed to be in second grade. Those educators wanted to put me in kinder at my age because of the
Mhm.
deficiency that I had. So I'm an immigrant going through those challenges, learning English. And a lot of the teachers, I annoyed them. I was not a very good student. So obviously they compounded the misery that it was learning English. Not only that, but I'm a child of divorce. I'm a child of divorce. I'm an alcoholic because you know what? For many years, I self-medicated in high school. I was the kid that would ditch and would never go to school, that did everything to get that D minus, just to get the
Mhm.
half credit for class. So Memorial Pathway Academy is a combination, a smash of those two things. Recent immigrants to the United States learning English, and those at risk kids that would have fallen through the cracks. I would have
Mhm.
fallen through the cracks, but the standards were so low that I couldn't. They just passed me
Yeah.
along, baby. Just pass me along. Yeah, I don't care. D minus, I was happy. I'm not proud of
Mhm.
what I'm saying right now. I'm just saying that's who I was. It's not who I am now. So
Yeah.
when I was hired and I left Socorro High School to come here, I needed to leave because I was giving that previous campus, which was 2,550 kids. It was, we picked it up. We did fabulous. The team members and myself, we did a great job in 3 years, three letter grades, 10 percentage
Mhm.
points on graduation rate. That is mega. But I was raising other people's kids, not my kids.
Mhm.
So something had to give. And if you're an educator, and if you're thinking about, hey, next year, when you're thinking about what school you should be as an administrator, or you're planning to be, that should be one of the things that you keep in the back of your mind. The
Mhm.
time that you're going to have to spend at that school to make it successful, to make your vision successful. So
Yeah.
when I arrived and I was offered this opportunity to apply for it, it was fabulous. It was a good smash of both. So right there at Memorial Pathway Academy, we have sixth graders, 10-year-olds, all the way to 21-year-old men. Right
Mhm.
now, some of them turn to 22 because you know that all districts, I don't know about other states, but in Texas, and I'm sure you all do it in different parts, you bring back the dropouts to try to make
Mhm.
sure that they graduate. So they send them to our campus, Memorial Pathway Academy. So in the same campus, right now we have 262 kids on the same campus. I've got 10-year-olds all the way to 21, 22 year olds from Tanzania, Morocco, Lebanon, all the Hispanic countries, different parts of Africa, Vietnam, Afghanistan. I've got all of these languages, but then I also have local Garland Independent School District students that are looking there to graduate. Right now, we have 19 grads, and right now we just dismissed 20 students to go from our school where we prep them. We use almost the year at a glance that the regular
Mhm.
schools do at a little bit slower pace, but we hold our Jaguars accountable because when we transition them from our MPA to the comprehensive schools, we cannot leave a gap. They can't
Mhm.
go in there because there's still a sin of low expectations. You know this, Dana. You know that
Yeah.
there's a sin of low expectations for newcomer kids, and they don't believe that they could accomplish a lot. And they
Mhm.
don't push him. They'll give him low rigor, word searches, nonsense,
Yeah.
vomit. What an insult to that student. Not knowing the language does not mean that they're academically viable or that they are of high IQ. So what we do is we always push them and push them with love. We establish routines, rituals to ensure that we're always there, and the adults are always ongoing training, ongoing support, ongoing instructional rounds to make sure that our craft, because you and I know this also, Dana, that the best PD out there is your peer down the hallway. But sometimes we don't have time to go visit each other. So we have done, I think, over 2,000 instructional walks this semester
Mhm.
alone, learning from each other. So instructional walks, we always accentuate the positive by doing different rituals, and we're always encouraging our kids. And let me tell you, I think right now, Dana, the culture of that campus, I hope I'm not lying to you, but I think this first semester we only had 22 office referrals, 22. That
Oh.
was that was maybe like 1.1 something per week.
Mhm.
That was nothing. So there's a culture, there's a climate of high expectations and high rigor to ensure that our kids are successful because they are the future leaders of this country.
Mhm. Mhm. And so you're talking about all these students from all over the world, and I would assume a lot of them are fairly new to the country and know very limited English. Some of them probably have some gaps in their schooling, and living in the Denver area and having worked in different districts with a lot of multilingual learners. Tell me a little bit about how the Newcomer Center came about. You have one both for the middle school and the high school level at Memorial Pathways. So how does the support look? How does the FTE look? And like, do you get funding from the district? And like, how has all that come about?
I'm very blessed that Garland Independent School District had it already established. And when they reached out for me to apply for it, they knew that what I brought to the table. And so what they do is that we are not a Title One. We're not.
Okay.
We're not even a school. We're an academy. Though, what do I mean by that? Let's dissect that frog.
All right.
That means that Memorial Pathway Academy, the students that attended are still tied to the sending campus. So they're still connected to the regular ed middle school and high school, but they
Okay.
funnel them to me so that I establish the just meat and potatoes, English and content area, sixth grade all the way to freshman, sophomore, depending on how many credits they bring, like you said. And from right there, we establish a certain number of kids per classroom and we
Mm-hmm.
tie it down. We do have a limit amount of kids in the middle school because our classrooms are so small. It's an old
Mm-hmm.
building. So we capped it off. I think last number was at 22, depending on the influx, because we knew during the previous administration, there was a larger influx of kids than what we have
Mm-hmm.
right now. The
Okay.
outside
Yeah.
politics do influence us. And
Yeah.
so we had to cap it off at 22, but right now we're not at that number. And they stay with us no more than 1 year. They're
Okay.
assessed when they enroll, they're assessed with a loss links. That's a local battery that's used for them. And if they qualify, the parent has a choice. You could either go to your home school or you could go to Memorial. A lot of times, more often than not, they'll go to their home school because they already have a cousin, an aunt, somebody that's related for the
Mm-hmm.
comfort level. Does that make sense? So they'll go
Yeah.
to the comprehensive schools. When they're at the comprehensive schools, a lot of times they'll send them back to me because of what you mentioned. There's so much regression or they're so behind on academic content that they rather send them to me. And so
Mm-hmm.
those are the two choices: the assessment on the loss links, the parent determination, and then uh, they stay with me 1 year at the most. There's
Okay.
some slight cases like our Afghani girls. You know
Mm-hmm.
that the Afghani girls never went to school. You know what the
Yeah.
politics and religion aspect of that is over there. So we kept them a little bit longer at Memorial, but we still had to send them sooner or later to their comprehensive school. We're 199. We're not Title One. The
Okay.
scores, the attendance and the scores all reflect the home campus. Me being a principal at a regular school, I'm always aware of that. So I do my job to make sure that that principal doesn't have to worry about his or her kids at our school that are falling behind. Because in the end, their accountability, it's on them. So I need to help them out as their support system. Right now, we have the same current amount of teachers. We have 10, 19, 30, 10, 28, 29 teachers,
Okay.
all three hallways. And those numbers haven't changed because we really have made whatever influx that we have of students work with the numbers that we have. I hope that
Okay.
answered the question.
Yeah. And so, do you have special training for the teachers that work at your school that would be addition to teachers that are already certified in um, like ESL or uh, what in Colorado we call it CLDE, culturally linguistic diverse education? Do they have to do a special training because it is a bilingual slash newcomer center or
Just the
okay,
ESL certification, that's all they need. Just the ESL
okay,
certification. And for me, obviously, remember, Josh was one of them, right? Josh was, I don't need someone speaking to them in their language.
yeah,
A lot of obviously we know that in Texas, more often than not, the dominant tongue is Spanish. We know
mm-hmm.
that, right? And so some of the candidates, when they apply, they're like, "Well, I really don't know Spanish. I don't want you to talk to them in
Yeah,
Spanish." That because you know what? if you try to talk to the kids in Spanish, you're making my Islamic kids feel dumber. You make
Hmm.
my African kids that speak either Swahili, French, you're making
Hmm.
them feel dumb because now they don't know English, but now they don't know Spanish.
Yeah.
No, we need to have a universal tongue that unites all the kids. And it's such a beautiful and gorgeous thing, Dana. Let me tell you, at lunchtime, I've got kids from all over the world laughing at each other, trying to speak each
Hmm.
other's language. And it's a gorgeous, beautiful, that is what the Statue of Liberty says, the melting pot of all these races, cultures, religious backgrounds, and MPA, and they're there talking to each other. So, no, there is no additional certification. On the contrary, it's about creating the culture, the campus culture, making sure that everyone feels safe, that everyone has that blue linus blanket around them every hallway that they walk, and there's no chaos. I told you what our discipline. Our discipline is very low. I think we've had, I think, two fights, and they were
Hmm.
shoving matches. We don't have those problems. We don't have drama at that school because it starts with our kids, with the adults believing and understanding. And as long as whoever's hired there understands what that culture is, we're going to keep on thriving and making sure that our scholars become the best version of themselves.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and I think that goes a long way in how you've helped establish that culture. Having been an immigrant yourself, and and also the fact that like you're honoring that. Yes, you might have a lot of students who have Spanish background, but like there are, like you pointed out, a lot of students from other backgrounds and have that English as a common language to help them, move along. And so, according to what you're saying, after about a year, then they go back to the home school in the district, and it's like, so are your classes more that sheltered instructional protocol for the core classes, and once they leave your school, they should be able to be fully integrated in the English classes at the regular grade level? How does that work?
Facts. You just mentioned it all. That's exactly it right there.
Mhm.
Sheltered instruction. But in the end, what we do, everything at the campus is based on Sean King's Fundamental Five. We all have structures, you know that. Avid,
Yeah.
it's a structure. We all have whatever you want to call it. We use the Fundamental Five. FSGPT, lesson frame, writing the content area, recognize and reinforce, the power zone, always being effective, bell to bell instruction, using of whiteboards, blended learning, having the active word wall, making sure that the kids are always talking to each other, and exit tickets, exit tickets, exit tickets. Every classroom does that, making sure that the kids write. Because you and I know this, that we, even in college, kids, freshmen in college, write horrible. They don't know how to write. And
Mhm.
now that they have that cheating tool known as AI, it's making it
Yeah.
worse. And so I need to make sure that I prepare our scholars for when they go to in regards to a framework for success, that every class does it, and that's where our instructional rounds go in. And I ask them, what are we doing? What does this look like? How is it looking in your classroom? And the great thing about it is that you go into every classroom and it's such a joy. We have guests coming in from other districts, from our central office, and they're saying, great things are happening here because you could see active learning, active engaging learning taking place at
Mhm.
the school.
Mhm. Do you tend to have a lot of teachers who want to apply to your academy from elsewhere in the district because of the good things that are happening, both with the culture and with the success with the newcomers?
The thing right now is that we haven't created to where it's Ron Clark. It's not.
Mhm. Mhm.
And we're still a very unknown commodity.
Okay.
Even though I try, you see, if you follow us on social media on my handles, I put out all the great things that are happening, but not everyone follows me. Does that make sense? It doesn't
Yeah.
matter how many places I posted out there. People are still, there's people that do not know who Dana is.
Hmm.
There are people who do not know who Jimmy Casas is. There
Yeah.
are people who do not know. I ask current educators, hey, have you heard Todd Whitaker? Who is that? How could you not
Well,
know Todd
Principal
Whitaker?
Cafili. Yeah.
Okay, Cafele. Exactly. Who's Cafele? But you see, everything is a niche. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? And to your
Yeah.
question, once they do get to our home, more often than not, they're like, oh my God. Why haven't we heard about this? Even substitutes in Garland, they're like,
Mhm.
we didn't know this place existed. We're very loud but very quiet. So
Okay.
no, we don't have people beating down our doors. We just barely hired a Spanish teacher, and when she came in, she was a substitute for the district, and she's like,
Mhm.
"Oh my God, what's going on here?" And she's just amazed at the structure, the control, the quietness of the campus, and the learning, the potential
Mhm.
of learning that's out there present. So no, we don't have that yet. And you know what, Dana, I kind of like not being out there that much, because then I
Mhm.
just don't want people to think that they're not going to come here, because I am very, very, I expect a lot from you, because I role
Mhm.
model everything. You're not going to
Yeah.
sit on your laurels, because when I walked in there, I'm going to tell you, Dana, when I walked in there, it was, ay, pobrecito, mijito. Ay, pobrecito. Ay, don't, no, no. Here's a word. No, no. That's too hard for them. What a
Mhm.
sin of low expectations. A lot of the adults that have been entrenched, they were in the trenches, and they didn't want to get out of the dark. They didn't want to get out of the goop. They thought, oh,
Yeah.
these kids, we just need to graduate them with 22 credits, the lowest diploma. I'm like, are you kidding me? You're graduating these kids with 22 credits when they could have more potential. And then when they're out there and they're taking our order at McDonald's and it's not on the screen, they spaz out. What
Mhm.
are we giving them for soft skills? They don't know how to communicate because they're so stuck with the cell phone, the brain release from the cell phone.
Mhm.
They don't know how to communicate. So those kids that are having a hard time serving customer service, they graduated not with high expectations. I'm not trying to categorize everybody, but I see it, and that's why we gotta push them and push them. And some
Yeah.
people I've had to help along, if you know what I mean. I've had to help them along off the bus, because those scholars that are at risk, those scholars that need the best version, the best educator out there, either I will role model it, you need to follow the vision, just run the play. The play is high expectations, bell to bell instruction, and recognizing our scholars. And if you can't deal with that, right now there's so many openings for teaching. I wish you the best. You're not the right fit for Memorial Pathway Academy.
Yeah. And that's I see that as a need these days because there are a lot of students who are passed through, especially from the middle to the high school level a lot of the time, and they failed their classes in middle school. They didn't attend much, and now that it starts to count in high school, and then kids sometimes graduate, like you said, with low expectations. They're not fulfilling what they are able to do because there are a lot of educators that are just teaching below the bar, right? They're teaching to the lowest in the class. And we understand there are a lot of students who might score low on those, STAR tests, the iReady tests, that we have a certain percentage of kids that are below grade level, but we also have students who are above grade level, and teaching
Right,
to the lowest in the
right.
class is not going to help anybody.
Right. And this is the example I give, Dana, and you just triggered a memory. And during morning, I do morning announcements every day, and I take them as long as I want to take them, because that's
Mm-hmm.
my vision for that day. I was taking my kids out to eat dinner, my flesh and blood, and there was a Arby's, and right next to it was a Chick-fil-A. Half my family wanted Chick-fil-A, the other half Arby's. So we're there, and that's a prime example. Hey, educator out there, listen to this example. More often than not, you all know that you prefer Chick-fil-A. You know that. Why? The customer service,
Yeah.
the smile, my pleasure, my pleasure, my pleasure,
Mm-hmm.
my pleasure. But
Mm-hmm.
always asking if they could help something out. Can I get that refill for you? On point, dressed alike, never a cell phone out, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Drive through. Can I get you anything else? Oh, my pleasure. Can I? Oh, courteous, because that's the expectation. So I got my family their food, went next door to
Mm-hmm.
get my order at Arby's. On the speaker, can I help you? Oh my lord, can I have this and this? Oh, we don't have it right now. And then just stay quiet.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have this? Oh, let me check. Are you kidding me? I just literally drove from one establishment to the next one, same kids, same
Yeah.
high school kids, and I drive up, and guess what the kid's doing at the window? On his cell phone, scrolling, waiting for me to drive up, doesn't make eye contact as compared to 2 minutes earlier. My pleasure. How can else can I help you? That order, the majority of the people in my car got their order real quick. I had a sandwich and something else, and it took almost as much time.
Yeah.
That's the sin of low expectations. So
Yeah.
I tell my scholars this: who do you want to work for? Who do you want to be served by? Chick-fil-A or Arby's? Because that's a
Mhm.
real anecdotal example that is living in our society right now. Hey,
Yeah.
educator, what do you want? What kind of student do you want? The Chick-fil-A student or do you want the Arby's student? You know what? It's up to us to teach him those skills.
hmm hmm That's a perfect example that even non-educators can relate to, right? So, yeah, I think like we got to think about that as we you know, plan for the years to come, right? And I'm not seeing a lot of changes since the pandemic, really, in terms of expectations and knowing what our students are capable of. But we could talk for hours on that. I wanted to talk with you a little bit about just you've talked already about just being active on social media. But you have your podcast, PGP podcast, which airs live Sundays at 5 p.m. Central. Tell me a little bit about how you got into podcasting. And then, you post a lot about what's going on at your school on social media. Did that all come about at the same time? And what made you decide to get more active on social media and with podcasting?
So let's start off with the social media aspect of this. I began this back in 2008 when it was barely leaving the MySpace stuff, starting into
Mm-hmm.
Facebook. I had a cohort of kids known as the class of 2008.
Mm-hmm.
That's the school I was moved from that campus to transportation. And so that school was very successful with that group of kids. And I started going to I always went to their events, but then I would
Yeah.
show up and I would take pictures of everything. And my camera, yes, there were cameras, not on your cell phone, but there were cameras.
Yeah.
And with and I was very modern because I had a chip in it where I would save the
Yeah.
pictures. That now is totally foreign to people. And so I created DVDs for that class. And the pop that I got from that was just phenomenal. The kids they were appreciative. It was just something else that they would see me there with my camera. They wanted to take the pictures because that became now the picture generation in the late 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got, then when I left and I went to transportation, then I moved into the new high school, Bel Air. Over a couple of years, they always gave me the at-risk kids. I love working with me. I love working with me. I'm like, bro, I did that before you were born.
Yeah.
Cut it out, all right? Nonsense, bro. I did it better than you. You have no game, bro. And finally, one there was a medical magnet tied to Bel Air High School, and the medical magnet. You see, when you're dealing with kids, medical magnet kids are not me. We're
Mm-hmm.
totally apart. I rather deal with me than with medical magnet kids. The mentality is different. It's just a total something else, right? And so my boss, two people had been moved. You know how there's a lot of shuffles with assistant principals, right? And
Mm-hmm.
he finally said, "Hey, I need you to take over the medical magnet." And I go, "No, I don't want those kids. I can't deal with them. I can't relate to them." They're like, "No, well, you know how to connect with them, and you'll find a way." So our numbers were low, and this is where I'm going with this. So if you want to be an administrator, even you for your classroom, because you'll help out your campus. And next year you're gonna become a principal. It's what is your calling card for what your
Mm-hmm.
vision is.
Yeah.
And social media now gives you that avenue. You no longer need word of mouth. Your word of mouth is found in your hand using the
Mm-hmm.
different platforms. So when I took over the medical magnet, we were taking in like 100 kids, tons of Carl Perkins money. Those of you that don't know that, that's CTE money from the feds. And we had 7 certifications. We had animal vet tech, pharmacist, phlebotomy, LVN. We had tons of certifications. And I'm thinking to myself, there were two others in the city of El Paso. And I go, no, ours is better. I've been to those schools. They got no game on us, but what are we doing to promote it?
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing to promote it? So that year that I took over, I go, I'm gonna go blitzkrieg. I'm gonna go all the way through. Just boom, boom, promote. No, you can't promote this. This face is ugly. Have you seen these cheeks, Dana? They're fat. Kids don't want to see my face. So I needed to promote the beauty
Yeah.
that are the kids, the scholars that once were eighth graders. And I made it a point to take them to all the private schools, to
Mm.
take them to all the middle schools in our district. Obviously, other districts wouldn't allow me to go in there. And in one year, we went from 100 candidates to 160. I took away 60. You know this, Dana. If I take away 60 kids from feeder pattern or private schools, I took away a lot of money, right? I took
Mm.
away a lot from that principal. I did that 2 years in a row by promoting it out there on social media. As you said earlier, kids wanted to come to Bel Air. Kids wanted to visit. I would go all the way up to seventh grade. I would bus in seventh graders, and then I will go visit them as eighth graders to plant that seed in their brain and put it all over social media. That school, their mascot were the Highlanders, and they had bagpipes in El Paso. You know how
Mhm.
beautiful the bagpipes are? You know what kind of promotional tool that is? And then the kids that play the bagpipe will do the dance, the Scottish
Mhm.
dance, and they would do woo, boom. People were noticing what was happening, the way we were promoting it, the way that we were able to take away all those scholars from all those campuses, all those programs. It just allowed for me to open up a new door to become that assistant principal in the neighboring district to a principal. Remember, at that district, I was told I would never be a principal. The neighboring district saw what I was doing on social media, and they brought me over. And using social media, and obviously the support of our colleagues, no one can do it by themselves. Nobody. I got them
Mhm.
involved with social media, and that high school that you started off reading at the entrance of the show, we started to promote academics, academics, academics. The school was the lowest rated school, D minus, an 82%. Think about, do the math out there. Do the math. If you're an educator, 2,550 kids, only 82% were graduating. Wow. What a disservice. What a dysfunction. But you see, a lot of the adults at that school were frustrated. They had enough of the kids having fights all over the hallway. We had a drug house next to the campus. There were like around 400 kids walking in late, always to
Mhm.
all the classes. The bell didn't matter. After lunch, they will walk in with their Waterburger. That's like a local Texas Waterburger place, burger joint. And they will walk in eating their burger. Oh, there were long lines. Nonchalant. I go, oh,
Mhm.
no, baby. But you see, I had to accentuate and win over the kids. And how do you win the kids over? I can't win over kids that don't like. I cannot win over adults that don't like kids. I cannot win over adults that are frustrated with kids. I got to win over the kids. And
Yeah.
how do I do that? By meeting them where they're at. And where are all our students, all our scholars are at? Social media. So I was
Yeah.
there nonstop. Just like my class of 2008, I was at all their events. I was spending for 15, 16 hours per day, whatever. If it's a 6A school, I have everything. I have every
Yeah.
event. I'm there promoting it on social media, making videos with them, introducing everybody to the great things that are happening at the school. That's just to summarize. Since 2009, with the class of 2008, with a Bel Air class, and with Socorro High School, and right now with MPA, I could go into how the mentality changed from graduating kids from 22 credits to now 26, which is the highest standard. Now passing
Yeah.
college entrance exams, TSI. That would have never been thought before when I arrived there, right? But we got the kids to believe. And where did I meet all our kids to believe in that? On social media and to promote the great things that they were doing every single last day. So if you're not on social media, you got to get there. If you want to become the number one chair of the campus, you have to meet your community where they're at. You have to go to Facebook for parents. For other educators, you got to be on X. To
Mhm.
meet your kids, you got to be on IG or TikTok, unless
Mhm.
you're state banned TikTok. But those are your different niches. If you want to meet other educators, you go to LinkedIn. If you want to put the beautiful things that are in your school, you put it on your YouTube channel. Does it take time? Yes, it takes time. But let me tell you, what rather you be dealing with? Let me ask you, you're going to become a principal next semester, right? Over summer, you're going to get hired. You're going to become an assistant principal or a principal over summer. You get hired. I can guarantee you, you would rather write thank you cards. You would rather make home visits. You would rather take pictures of student of the week than to deal with one girl fight.
Mhm. Mhm.
If you've never dealt with a girl fight, oh my lord, your whole day, Dana, call me a liar, call me a liar, call me a liar. One girl fight will take you 8 hours and part of the next day. Yes or no, Dana? Yes or no? You know that's why you're
Oh, I'm
laughing,
thinking of one recently with the nails that got taken off. Yeah.
right? You know what I'm talking about. So I much rather spend my time promoting greatness on social media than dealing with toxicity, bad attitude. You're always going to deal with that. You're dealing with the public. We are in public education. We're dealing with a
Yeah.
public and with everything that it has to offer. How do I mitigate that? By making sure that they know that there's a comfort level, an appreciation, and a love for what we do for our scholars. So that's social media right there, and that's how we got involved. In regards to the podcast, I was just they found me. I'm very blessed that God placed before me Dean Packard and Chris Starcheski. They had a
Mhm.
podcast known Unlock the Middle, which was all
Mhm.
middle school. And Dean reached out and goes, "Hey, you're a turnaround principal." I go, yeah, yeah. You know, there goes that imposter syndrome. I guess I
Mhm.
am. You know, you don't want to. People ask you that. You don't go around saying, "I am a turnaround principal." You know, you don't do that.
Yeah.
But the numbers say that you are, right? And so they invited me, and I was on there with them as a contributing guest, for lack of a better term, since I watch a lot of news. And
Mhm.
and then that show came to an end. The run came to an end. During that time, we had teamed up with the Fantastic Four. Who is the Fantastic Four, you might ask? Well, every Saturday, you've got three shows back to back. You've got Sean Hurt at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. You got Dr. Taylor and Dr. Houston at 10:30. And there's this quiet guy that no one really knows about, has ever heard of him. He's called Principal Cafele at 10:55. So those three shows are on back to back. And we had tied in with Unlock the Middle. So we promoted
Yeah.
ourselves as a Fantastic Four. So when our show ended, Unlock the Middle, Principal Cafela says, "Hey, Josh, what are you going to do? Are you going to still be part of this or not?"
Yeah.
And so that's when he pushing me, and he pushes. He's good at pushing you, but
Yeah.
the way he does it is like that Rubik's cube. You didn't know that second twist, the whole face was the same color.
Yeah.
And so I started the PGP podcast, and the reason for that name is you and I don't know, Dana. You please correct me because you know you're a podcast connoisseur like me. How many Hispanic podcasts are there? How many have you heard that are Hispanic based?
I mean, I'm sure there are a lot that aren't education related, but
No,
like for
no. In our niche,
yeah,
other than Jimmy
not a
already
lot.
starting his, not a lot.
Yeah.
So then I go, hey, you know what? There's a need. There's a voice.
Yeah.
There's a voice. Though I can connect a lot with all my other educators, there's a voice to your people. You know, there's a way to connect with them and to where you have that comfort level. And so that's part of the ganas. It's a universal word. That's the only thing that connects all Hispanics. It's a monolithic word, ganas. That's why it's called Puras Ganas Podcast. And from there, it's a show that I want. Please, I invite all of you. If you're an educator, trust me, there is no niche to our show. We have a superintendent roundtable coming up. We have a group of different educators this Sunday that are authors, that are teachers, assistant principals. It's everything out there because we need to hear from different people from across the U.S. We're in different parts, but we're facing the same obstacles. We
Yeah.
don't have money. We're still dealing with the girl fights. We're still dealing with a cheerleading mom that wants her daughter to be a flyer, but she really is a base. We're dealing with that mom that doesn't want to do fundraising and but still wants her softball daughter to take the trip. We're dealing with all of those things. And the best person that brings street cred is someone that has walked those shoes. So I really invite somebody to reach out to us and we'll find a show for you because we have repeated different level, different tier shows that brings special ed, EB shows. I mean, it's everything out there, and we need you to bring your voice to the PGP podcast.
That's so great to hear about. And like as you're mentioning the whole unlock the middle, because I highlighted them in the fall of 2020, and I remember how I subscribed to the channel, and then like now that you're explaining it, yeah, now I realize how that came about during that time. Um, I did want to ask, as a principal, and just having been on social media for such a long time, and now doing this live podcast on Sundays, how do you find time for it all and still be a dad and be involved with your family and everything? Like, how do you compartmentalize?
It's once you become uh once you sit in the chair, you're not going to be successful without establishing patterns,
Yeah.
protocols, principles that don't last is because you don't have your routines in place. The only way you're going to survive is by establishing routines. I don't know what the routines are, but that's the way my brain works.
Yeah.
As you know, Dana, my brain wakes me up at 3:30 every morning.
Hmm.
Every morning I wake up at 3:30. I'm at the gym by 4:20, 4:30. I work out for 1 hour. I go home, I get dressed, and I go greet my kids at the bus. I play
Hmm.
music. I play rock music. I greet them 80s retro music. Every morning they get off the bus. We routines. Then we go do morning announcements, depending on the day. We do quotes of the day in all the languages. And then every month there's something to do on a Monday, something to do on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And those are
Yeah.
just routines. And they're ingrained in my brain. They're ingrained. This is what we do. We have to do this. We have to, but
Hmm.
all of it is for culture. It's all to ensure that people feel comfortable. You see, I want to make sure that there's something established that when a parent or even our colleagues, our team members in school, they would want to bring their own kids to that
Yeah.
school. That when a parent drops off their kid, they feel comfortable dropping them off at our school. That when a team member gets their keys and puts them in the ignition, they say, all right, it's time to go to work. Instead of saying, ugh, I gotta go to work.
Uh,
It's establishing those patterns. And for me, going from a 6A school where I had everything to this little school, it's a little bit easier, but it didn't matter. As long as I established my patterns, and the word here is consistent. Be consistent. Be consistent with what you do. You don't have to do everything that I do. Trust me, it's not easy for even for me sometimes. It's not easy. But if you're consistent, people will know that you're bringing the fire. People will know that you're not faking the funk, and people will know that you're doing it. What you're doing what's right. It's for kids and for the adults. So establish your patterns of behavior. I don't know what they are, but if they're good for kids, and that will raise the elevate the stock of your vision to where everybody wants to work with you, not against you. Because we all have weebies. Dana, do you know who the weebies are?
no.
You've never heard of the weebies? Lady, you've been in this business so long and you don't know who the weebies are. Really?
I'm sure I've called that by a different name, but
All right.
explain.
Well, the weebies are your ankle biters, the ones that say, we be here before you, we be here
Yeah.
after you. The
Okay.
weebies, the
Yeah.
weebies. Well, you know what? You'll never win the weebies over. But let me tell you, as long as I win the kids over and the majority of the staff, that school will thrive. But that's by me role modeling the expectation. You cannot sing it, you got to bring it. And it's establishing those patterns that are all in the
Mhm.
best interest of your faculty, your staff, your scholars. And in the end, I go home to kiss my children, to wrestle with them, because I got 3 boys. They're all getting a
Mhm.
bit stronger than me, but loving them and showing them that we're able to juggle both things. Before I couldn't, Dana.
Mhm.
I chose being in charge of a 6A school in Texas. My family was third.
Yeah.
My family was third. God was one, work was two, my family was third. And that would never change. If I would have stayed in El Paso, I would have never put my family, maybe if my family would have been fourth, because third would
Yeah.
have been the school events. School events would have been third. And then my family. I missed my kids' birthdays. I missed a lot of relationship status. I missed a lot of things because other kids came first. And I
Yeah.
needed to make sure that my family came first by establishing a different pattern of behavior. And that pattern of behavior is this is on Monday, this is on Tuesday, this is on Wednesday. But in the end, making your family first for you for your own mentality, peace of mind, peace of heart, and ensuring that everything is a well-rounded structure for success.
Mhm. And that's great advice for those who want to be more active and, putting out the good things about their school and, being more involved in social media or maybe even starting a podcast. We've had a great conversation today talking about just your journey as an educator, administrator, and immigrant. Out of everything we talked about, what's one thing you'd like listeners to remember?
Hey, educator out there, two things. Number one, kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Adults don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And
Mm-hmm.
remember, always, always, always stick to your vision that is school based, that is scholarly based, and you will never go wrong. Always stick to your guns, never deviate. Don't let someone else's toxicity, someone else's politics deviate you or not guide you to making sure that that scholar in that classroom becomes the president of the United States, becomes an astronaut, becomes a governor,
Mm-hmm.
or becomes a new member of Google. Because you could do it as long as you show love, appreciation, and it goes back to number one. Kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I value you, Dana. Thank you for having me today on your show. I value this show. It brings a lot of knowledge to me, and I wish everybody the best.
Well, where can people connect with you and find you online?
Reach out to MPA underscore Jaguars, MPA underscore Jaguars. That is our X for us educators. LinkedIn, Josh Tovar. YouTube, check out all our PGP podcast shows and see the great things that are happening with our scholars at Josh Tovar also. And on IG, MPA Jaguars under all lowercase. It's not hard to find me. Just reach out. And if I could be of service, please, I have no problem reaching out to you. Just like I reached out to this young lady on the show to be part of our podcast mash because I honored her show so much. I loved it so much that we had a show dealing with her show, her show dealing with her show. Now I'm on her show. It's beautiful. And so connect, connect, connect. Don't forget, kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Well, thanks so much for being my guest today on the Out of the Trenches podcast.